They called her the Unseen Terror. Hidden beneath snow and shattered branches, she lay motionless for hours, sometimes for entire days. Her breath was slow, controlled, barely visible in the freezing air. Around her, the earth trembled. As tanks roared forward and artillery thundered across the eastern front, shells screamed overhead. Trees splintered, men shouted and died. Yet she did not move. One young woman waited in silence, her finger steady on the trigger, her eye fixed to the scope, deciding who would never rise again. She was only 20 years old, and by the time she died, 59 enemy soldiers had fallen by her rifle. This was not how most nations fought the Second World War. Britain, the United States, and Nazi Germany all believed that women belonged behind the lines. They worked tirelessly, bravely even, but always away from direct combat. They were nurses tending to shattered bodies, clerks filing endless paperwork, radio operators relaying orders, factory workers building the weapons of war. But the battlefield itself was considered sacred ground for men alone. War, they said, was no place for women. The Soviet Union disagreed. When Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa in June 1941, the Soviet Union was caught in a catastrophe unlike anything it had ever known. Entire armies were destroyed. Millions of soldiers were killed or captured within months. Cities burned, villages vanished, and the German war machine surged deep into Soviet territory. The scale of loss was so immense that traditional rules of warfare no longer applied. Driven by communist ideology, desperation, and the brutal arithmetic of survival, the Red Army made a radical decision. Women would not merely support the war effort, they would fight it. Not symbolically, not as propaganda, but as soldiers in the truest sense of the word. Women became pilots flying fragile wooden aircraft on night bombing raids. They became machine gunners, medics dragging wounded men through fire, tank crew members enduring steel coffins under enemy shells, and most feared of all, they became snipers. Soviet military planners believed women possessed qualities ideal for this role. They were thought to be more patient, more disciplined, more careful in their movements. They were believed to have steadier hands, sharper focus, and an ability to remain still for long periods without giving away their position. Whether these beliefs were rooted in science, culture, or necessity hardly mattered. What mattered were results. By the end of the war, Soviet snipers had killed more than 11,000 German soldiers, and a significant number of those kills belonged to women. In February 1942, the Soviet Union introduced a sweeping military draft for women between the ages of 16 and 45. From this policy emerged one of the most elite and deadly institutions of the entire war, the Central Women's Sniper Training School near Moscow. Admission was not easy. Candidates had to be at least 20 years old, physically fit and mentally resilient. They needed to have completed at least 7 years of secondary education and pass an initial 4-day universal military training program. Only those who met every standard were accepted. Training was ruthless. Women were taught to shoot with absolute precision at long distances. They learned camouflage, concealment, stalking, and movement across open terrain without being seen. They were trained to read the land, the wind, the light. They learned how to wait, how to endure cold, hunger, exhaustion, and fear. They learned how to kill calmly and without hesitation. By the end of the war, the school had produced over 1,000 trained snipers and hundreds of instructors. Among them was a quiet young woman from northern Russia named Roza Shanina. Roza was born in 1924 in the Arkhangelsk region, a remote and unforgiving land of forests, rivers, and endless winter. Her family was poor. Life was defined by labor and survival. Winters were long and brutal. Food was scarce. Comfort was rare. From a young age, Roza learned discipline and endurance, qualities that would later define her life. Despite these hardships, she was intelligent and determined. Education became her escape. Against the odds, she attended college and graduated in 1942. Even as she studied, the war crept closer. German bombers began attacking her hometown. Air raid sirens shattered the night. During these bombings, Roza and her fellow students climbed rooftops as fire watchers. They scanned the skies for falling incendiary bombs, racing to extinguish them before entire buildings caught fire. Death fell from above, unpredictable and merciless. War was no longer something happening far away. It was above them, around them, and inside their homes. Then tragedy struck even closer. Roza's brother was killed during the siege of Leningrad. For nearly 900 days, the city was encircled, starved, and bombarded. More than 1 million civilians died of hunger, cold, and disease. His death was not unique, but to Roza it was devastating. Grief hardened into resolve. Pain became purpose. She would not remain behind the lines. In June 1943, Roza entered military service. Already a capable shot, she quickly completed her initial training and was accepted into the Central Women's Sniper School. There she distinguished herself almost immediately. Instructors noted her calm under pressure, her precise shooting, and her quiet discipline. She did not boast. She did not seek attention. She focused only on her craft. She graduated with honors. Like many top students, Roza was offered a respected and relatively safe position as an instructor. It was a privilege. It was also a way to survive the war. Roza refused. She wanted the front. She wanted to fight. In April 1944, she was assigned to a sniper platoon in the 184th Rifle Division, operating under the 3rd Belarusian Front. The Red Army was now on the offensive, launching massive counterattacks to push German forces back across Eastern Europe. This was where Roza Shanina would earn her reputation. On April 5, 1944, southeast of Vitebsk, she killed her first German soldier. The moment stayed with her. Killing was nothing like training. It was intimate, personal. Through her rifle scope, she saw a man fall because of her decision. There was no cheering, no triumph, only silence. But the war did not pause for reflection. Within weeks, Roza adapted. Senior Sergeant Shanina emerged from the fire. Her Mosin Nagant rifle became an extension of her body. She moved slowly, deliberately, blending into forests, ruins, and snowfields. She waited with unshakable patience. One by one, her targets fell. By April 17, 1944, she had killed 13 German soldiers in just 7 days, often while under artillery bombardment and machine gun fire. For this, she became the first servicewoman on the 3rd Belarusian Front to receive the Order of Glory, 3rd class, one of the Soviet Union's highest decorations for bravery. By May, her confirmed kills stood at 17. On June 9, 1944, her photograph appeared on the front page of a major Soviet newspaper. She became a symbol, not just of Soviet resistance, but of women at war. Her image traveled far beyond the front lines. That same month, higher command issued orders removing female snipers from direct combat. Casualties were mounting and political concerns were growing. The decision was meant to protect them. Roza ignored it. So did her unit. They returned to the front, supporting infantry units in active combat zones. Roza even wrote twice to Joseph Stalin himself, pleading to be allowed to continue fighting. Whether those letters were ever read did not matter. She stayed in combat. The fighting only grew more brutal. During one engagement, approximately 50 German soldiers overran a trench occupied by Roza and 11 other female snipers. The battle collapsed into chaos. Rifles were fired until ammunition ran out, then used as clubs. Bayonets flashed. Grenades exploded in confined spaces. Shovels became weapons of last resort. It was hand-to-hand combat at point-blank range. Against all odds, the women held their position. Several Germans were killed. Others were captured. Roza survived. She and her unit continued fighting through the battle for Vilnius, operating under relentless pressure during daily combat operations. Enemy snipers hunted them constantly. Roza hunted back. She outwitted opponents through superior camouflage, patience, and understanding of terrain. By August 1944, the Red Army reached the borders of East Prussia, German territory itself. When Roza crossed that border, her confirmed kill count stood at 42. In one battle alone, she killed 5 German soldiers from a single concealed position. Her reputation spread beyond the Soviet Union. By September 17th, her tally had risen to 51. A Canadian newspaper dubbed her the unseen terror of East Prussia. She received the Order of Glory, 2nd class, and later the Medal for Courage, becoming one of the first female snipers to be awarded the honor. On December 12, 1944, a German sniper finally found her. A bullet tore through her right shoulder. She survived. After recovery, she returned to the front by mid-January 1945, wearing white winter camouflage as her unit pushed deeper into East Prussia. By then, her battalion was being destroyed. On January 17th, Roza wrote in her diary that she felt she would die soon. 72 of the 78 members of her battalion had already been killed. She understood what that meant. 10 days later, on January 27th, German artillery exploded near her position. Roza threw herself over a wounded Soviet officer, shielding him with her body. The blast tore her open. She was disemboweled. Her chest was shattered. She died the following day. Her last recorded regret was that she had done so little. Roza Shanina was 20 years old. Her official sniper tally stood at 59 confirmed kills. 3.5 months later, Berlin fell to the Red Army. Women soldiers, snipers, medics, pilots were among those who raised victory banners over the ruins of the Reich. Roza did not live to see the end of the war, but her rifle helped shape its outcome. She was not an exception. She was part of an army of women who proved that courage has no gender, that sacrifice knows no boundaries, and that history is often changed not by those who shout the loudest, but by those who fight unseen.